Thank you, councillors. I would like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we're gathered. Pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I pray that our decisions today will make those who've gone before us proud and those who will come after us thankful. Welcome to the City Governance Committee meeting on the 8th of July. I declare this meeting open at 10:20. I'd like to advise attendees in the room that this meeting is being webcast and audio recorded. Leaves of absence. We have 2 leaves of absence on the screen. First is Councillor Lane. Can I have someone to move that? Thank you, Karen. Second, Councillor Bannon. Any comment? No? All those in favour? It's carried. And the second one for Councillor St Ledger. Someone to move that? Councillor Bannon. Seconded by Councillor Murphy. All those in favour? It is carried. Thank you. Confirmation of previous minutes. There's now a motion displayed on the screen to confirm the previous minutes. Do I have a mover of this motion? Councillor Stemp. And a seconder, Mayor Raven. Open the floor to vote. Those in favour? And that's carried. Thank you.
I didn't vote.
Oh, how did you vote?
I wish to abstain because I wasn't present. I was unwell.
Thank you. Conflicts of interest. I now refer to declarations of conflicts of interest. Do any councillors wish to declare a conflict of interest today? There being none, I'll now refer to the reports on today's agenda. The first report being a Local Government Association of Queensland Annual Conference. Thank you. Take us away.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. I just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce Josh Shivers, who has joined us in the advocacy team. First up, the report today is in preparation for the LGAQ conference that is occurring on the Gold Coast in October of this year. We have 3 delegates who are nominated to attend: Councillor Russell, Councillor Wilcox and Mayor Raven. And we have 5 motions that we're proposing to put up to the conference this year. Councillors would recall that some of these were presented to the ALGA conference earlier this year. So they have been adapted to advocate to the state government as opposed to the federal government. And there's also a couple of new motions in there as well. The first motion's around urban street tree planting and amenity improvements. The second motion is around late night retail, so anchor tenants in some of our centres. The digital infrastructure integration motion links back to that previous ALGA motion, as does the funding for multicultural centres. And the last one is proposing a mass transit plan that's better linked to land use planning. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions? Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First question, have we got any feedback on last year's motions that were submitted?
Through the chair. So the LGAQ now publishes that on their website. So there's a set of letters that are sent out following the conference last year, and they record all of those interactions that they have with the ministers following up on their website. Our mayor's also on the executive as well, so they do report through the executive briefing papers.
I was just hoping there was more because there's really nothing on the website, unfortunately, so I was hoping you might have heard some more. Great. So, question, and thank you, Bridget, for sending me a response. I do have a question regarding the motion in regards to the mass transit plan linked to land use planning. And thank you for your responses. And in your responses, I'm wondering, can we be more specific in what we're calling for? Because in your response, it is more specific. I just feel that what we've got in here might be just a little vague for my liking, especially when you read the case study. And when I read the case study, because it's a Sydney 30-minute metropolitan city, which is what they're referring to, essentially it's almost like a self-contained PDA, which is what we're hoping for, but I can't get there because I don't have transport. So can we be more specific and include these 4 points that you've actually listed on your email that you've sent me?
Through the chair, as the LGAQ motions, we're looking for the support of all local governments in Queensland, so all the rural councils, all the regional councils, as well as the SEQ councils. We do tend to try to make them more general so that we'll get the support of those regional and rural mayors.
Okay, fair enough. All right, one last question. Who has the voting rights for this LGAQ motion?
Yes.
Through you, Mr. Chair. I do at the moment, but I'm going to split them. I can't split them 3 ways, so I can split them 2 ways.
Thank you. Just clarifying so we don't have another one from a recurrence of last year. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Bradley.
Thank you through the chair. Bridget, thank you so much for your response. I believe there's an amendment. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's correct. So there was an amended motion issued on Friday as part of your papers, and that was really to strengthen the urban street tree planting motion to include not only street trees but CCTV and also some solar lighting along those key transport routes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? We will have a motion on the board. Is that what we're up to? Yes. Excellent. Sorry,
Ask
yes.
a question.
Go ahead.
Does that incorporate the amended? Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. We have someone moved that. Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. Someone to second that. Thank you, Councillor Stamp. All those in favour? It's carried. All right. 6.2, annual contracting plan. Sorry. Oh, okay, sorry, yeah. Does anyone have any general business for the Transform Logan and Advocacy Project Manager? Thank you. We'll move on to 6.2, annual contracting plan. Thanks, Mark.
Good morning. It's a requirement of the local government regulation that council makes and adopts a contracting plan each financial year after the annual budget. The procurement team have collaborated with all council branches to develop this annual contracting plan, which is attached to the report. There are 16 tenders scheduled for release in 25-26, comprising of 5 general contracts valued between $500,000 and $2 million, and 11 significant contracts valued at $2 million or with a contract term exceeding 10 years. These are listed in Appendix A of the ACP. Happy to take any questions.
Mayor Raven.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you. Good morning, Mark. I continue to meet businesses in our city that are major businesses that work for every council in Southeast Queensland except the one that they're based in. And I understood that the reason we have the local buy provisions in the ACP is so that we can avoid that sort of situation, because if they're good enough to work for cities like the Gold Coast and Ipswich and Brisbane, then surely they're good enough to work for Logan. So what can we do to address these ongoing, and they're not small businesses, these aren't like little contractors, these are major earthworks companies and things like that. So what can we do to address these continued misses that we're having?
Through the Chair, Mayor Raven, a policy task force has been established and we're going to review our local buy policy through that task force.
Awesome. Can I get some feedback on that through that process?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Am I correct to understand it this way? It says previous council decisions in January 2022. This is last reviewed and adopted. Just wondering what happened over the last 2.5 years, if that's the case.
So in 2022 is when we actually established the strategic sourcing function, which requires us to have an annual contracting plan. We have actually brought the annual contracting plan each financial year and actually amended the 24-25 plan, I believe, in the June meeting.
Thank you.
Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you. So how do companies know that these contracts are up for renewal? They can put a bid in, become a preferred supplier. How does that happen?
Through the Chair, Councillor Wilcox, we actually advertise on our council website. We advertise on our vendor panel, through our vendor panel portal. We also advertise through various apps such as LinkedIn.
Awesome, but I haven't been sent anything, so I can share it because I've got lots of large companies out there in my area as well that I could potentially share this with, so that we can actually get a few more on there on the local buy and that sort of thing. If you could share it with us as councillors as well, so we can get it across our platforms, that would be wonderful. Are we going to have any more of the how to do business with council? Like they normally have like a breakfast where people can come along and get information about how to do all this.
Councillor Wilcox, we, through the chair, we do this in collaboration with our economic development team, so we can absolutely reach out and organise another one for this financial year.
That would be great. I know a few of mine have gone to it from my division as well. How many times can companies be awarded contracts of such a substantial nature if they're over $2 million? Is there any timelines, any amount of times that they can be successful?
Through the chair, no, there's not. It's all based on tender submissions.
Okay. I know I've said this from the get-go, and I think unless they're ones that are doing a very specific contract and stuff like this, I've always said, you know, it'd be great if they could have 3 goes, turn it over, have 3 goes, turn it over, so that we are getting, and so that they're not actually basically putting up the prices each time. Oh, we're doing business with council, we'll just add 20% on each time that we're doing that business and that sort of thing. That's what I get concerned about.
Through the chair, if you're talking about contract extensions, then there are limits to those.
Sort of, but it's like each time they win a contract, oh yeah, we'll just put it in, and you know, we always hear on the grapevine that contractors are talking to themselves, oh, it's your turn to win it, how about you put a bid in for this and then next time we'll win it and stuff like that. That's what I do get concerned about. I am also concerned that this report is before 6.5, the auditor's report, which talks about 3 deficiencies in procurement and 1 unresolved matter. Do these have any effect on these contract plans?
Through the chair, no.
Any other questions? There being none, the motion for this report will be on the screen. Can I have a mover? Thank you, Councillor Bannon. Someone a second? Councillor Hall. All those in favour? That is carried. Thank you. 6.3, Local Infrastructure Program.
Thank you, Chair. There were some updated attachments distributed this morning, so we have a revised attachment 1, 2 and now an attachment 3. This includes a total of 20 new projects and 4 material amendments that align with the policy and 1 special consideration due to its not being capital in nature. Happy to take questions.
Thank you. We're just going to table that attachment. We're going to have a mover for that. Thank you, Councillor Fraser. All those in favour? Sorry. Yep.
Sorry, attachment 3, was it sent through this morning?
Yes, it was.
Are we able to put it up on the screen so we can see it at all?
Would you like a moment? Okay. Yes.
Just one note too. I messaged Margaret this morning. There's actually an error on attachment 2. It should be division 12 instead of division 10 for LIP 782. So I don't know whether that can be amended or how that is that amended as part of the
table 3.
Yeah, yep. That can be amended somehow. It would be appreciated. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Bradley.
Thank you. I did send an email to if Fitzgerald could be correctly spelt. Thank you.
You good, Councillor Wilcox? Okay. All those in favour? Oh, sorry. We're good? Still all agree? That's carried. Thank you. Item 6.4, monthly financial Oh, sorry, we've got to do the report, yes. Okay, document table. Can we have a mover of the motion to receive that report? Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Seconded by Councillor Stemp. All those in favour? Oh, hang on.
Point of order, there's an error on it. It needs attachment 3.
We good? Yep. Excellent. Still seconding. All those in favour? That is carried. We got there in the end? Yes. All right. Item 6.4, monthly financial performance report.
Thank you, Chair. There's a new risk noted for the cost impacts of increasing water losses and network maintenance costs for Logan Water, despite actions being taken to bring expenditure in line with budget in the month of May. Operating surplus year to date at the end of May was 24.1 million, which was 20 million over budget, with revenue tracking above budget by 25.4 million. This continues to relate to Logan Water Private Works, trending favourably, and DAE applications continue to trend higher than budgeted. We also were in receipt of additional funding from the QRA, and waste utility charges were higher than expected in the month of May. Operating expenditure is above budget by 5.35 million, and aside from the expenses relating to private works and severe weather events, this relates to additional work undertaken to reduce the backlog of maintenance work on water and sewage, as previously mentioned, and higher than expected garbage collection costs driven by the city growth. Capital expenditure is below budget by 25.86 million, or 7% against year-to-date budget, the majority of which relates to design changes and weather delaying commencement of works. I can confirm that as at 30th of June, many of the aged debtors have been cleared, and investments as at 31st of May, Council's total cash holdings were 352 million, borrowings were 443 million, and the current average cost of debt is 4.57%. Happy to take questions.
Any questions? Mayor Raven.
Thanks, Mark. When do we get to see the end of financial year numbers that show whether or not we held on to our paper-thin surplus?
So by the end of this week, we'll have a tentative draft position, and the financial statements will be complete by the end of this month.
Thank you.
Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you. Marg, I did send you a question in regards to something that's on the sundry debtors list. Peak Flagstone have been on this list quite a lot and for quite some time. Do we know how many days over they are on this latest figure?
So with this one, it's actually was reversed in June. There has been an extended amount of time in actually executing the agreement. So because the agreement has not been executed and they're still in talks around the actual value, we have reversed it for the financial year of 24-25.
Are they going to be paying this anytime soon? Because this happened in 22. So this has been quite some time and it's been ongoing.
I'm not privy to all the details, but I believe they are getting closer to coming to an agreement on the value.
Any more questions? There'll be a motion on the screen. Can I have a mover for that motion when it's up? Councillor Bannon, seconded by Mayor Raven. All those in favour? That is carried. Does anyone have any general business for the Finance Manager? Thank you, Mark. Do you have any business for us? No? Thank you. 6.5, Auditor-General's report, interim audit June 2025. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councillors, for your time today. In accordance with the Local Government Regulation 2012, the Queensland Audit Office has given the Mayor an interim observation report about the audit of Council's financial statements for the financial year ended 30th of June 2025. Now, to satisfy the Local Government Regulation, a copy of this report is now presented and is an attachment to the report for your consideration. A final of the Auditor-General's audit report and the Auditor-General's observation report about Council's financial statements for the financial year ending 30 June 2025 will be presented to the Audit and Risk Committee in September 2025 for their consideration. and then what will happen is the Auditor-General will provide the final results of the QAO financial audit to the Mayor for that report then to be presented to Ordinary Council.
Any questions? There being none, there shall be a motion on the screen. I have a mover. Thank you, Councillor Bannon, seconded by Councillor Stemp. All those in favour? That is carried. Item 6.6, the adoption of amended Underwood Innovation Lab Constitution.
Thank you, Chair. Amendments to Unilab's constitution to improve the governance was discussed at the 8th of April 20 City Governance Committee and approved at the Council's meeting on the 16th of April. There's some provisions which were previously contained in the Constitution have been moved to the share subscription agreement, which has been signed. The Corporations Act requires a special resolution to amend the company's constitution, and this report presents Unilab's amended constitution for adoption by Council as a special resolution.
Thank you. I note that item 6.2 is a public report with a confidential attachment. A proposed resolution to move this, is that where I'm at? Yes? Yep. Yep. Does anyone want to move into confidential to ask questions? We're all good to go. Continue with that? Yep. So matter on the screen? No?
It's a public question, it's okay.
Okay. Got it.
The, through you, Mr. Chair. Mark, I sent you an email about it, just for future reference. If we ever have a situation where you're moving something out of one document into another document, like with this one, can we have that included in the report? So having the share subscription and governance agreement to read at the same time the report would have been fantastic. I have every confidence that you've moved it in there, but being able to read it together and make sure that that's been done the way we expect would have been amazing. Thank you for sending it through to me so I could check that. I appreciate it, but it would have been awesome to have it in the report.
Yeah, through the Chair, acknowledge that, Mr. Mayor, and we'll do that going forward.
No further questions? There'll be a motion on the screen. Can I have a mover when you are ready? Mayor Raven, a seconder, Councillor Bannon. All those in favour? That is carried, but do you want to go around? Yep. How did you vote, Councillor Bradley?
Against.
And Councillor Harrimeyer?
Abstain.
Thank you. And Councillor Wilcox?
Abstain.
Good go. Thank you. Any general business for the Corporate Governance Manager? All good? 6.7, City Reputation, Brand, Communications and Engagement Strategic Plan. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you very much. Through the Chair, I'll hand over to Michelle to address this item.
Thank you. Good morning, councillors. I'm pleased to be here this morning to present our City Reputation, Brand, Communications and Engagement Strategic Plan. So last year, Council conducted market research and it identified that favourable impressions about the City of Logan are lower than other surrounding areas, and also that there is limited understanding of the Logan region and associations are often focused on crime. The research also identified some key positives about the City of Logan, including that we're a very multicultural and diverse city, that we're a fast-growing region, and also affordable housing. And in addition to that independent market research, we are also starting to hear some anecdotal feedback that's coming through from our community panel at Transform Logan. And when asked about what they think is holding the city back, they've talked about that there is still a stigma attached to Logan, but they do feel that that is changing. It's important to recognise that we all play a role in shaping reputation, council staff, our mayor and councillors, of course our community, and the research also found that the media plays a larger role in shaping perception in the City of Logan than other surrounding regions. So the goal of our strategy is to increase trust and uplift the reputation of the City of Logan through strategic communications and engagement, integrated campaigns and proactive media. The strategy will be delivered within our current budget. We're not seeking any additional funding, and emphasis will be placed on earned media coverage and integrated campaigns that we'll create at low cost in-house to ensure value for money. Our objectives are to position the City of Logan as an innovative, culturally diverse city of opportunity and a great place to buy your first home and raise a family. We'll also reshape outdated narratives on the City of Logan through storytelling and generating consistent and positive media coverage. We'll strengthen pride amongst our community and our council staff so that they become our ambassadors for the city. We'll maintain and build trusted relationships with key stakeholders and media. And importantly too, we'll also mitigate any potential reputational damage by proactively anticipating and managing issues. Our target audiences will include residents in and outside Logan, national, metro and local media, visitors to Logan, business and industry, and we've also identified some other important external and internal stakeholders there. Some of the issues that we're facing include concerns about crime, the rapid growth that our region is undergoing, negative portrayal of Logan in the media and also on social media, and the increasing cost pressures on council and the impact that that has on rates. But there are also a host of opportunities for us. There are so many positives about the City of Logan, including our multicultural community with over 230 cultures, our affordable housing, beautiful green places, our multicultural food offerings, so much there that we can shine the light on. The games are a fabulous opportunity for us. There's an opportunity to grow our visitor economy, and also recently Council's transparent budget communications were very well received by our community, so we have the opportunity to build on that. Our strategic approach is that we will promote the City of Logan as a multicultural city full of opportunity. We'll reshape perceptions on the City of Logan by really ramping up our high quality storytelling and sharing our good news stories. We'll position the City of Logan as a reliable partner to other levels of government and industry and an important enabler of the games. And we'll also proactively identify and manage issues to protect Council's reputation. We'll focus on the 7 key themes identified in the research to help lift city reputation, and they're broken up into opportunities and experiences. So a great place to live, a city evolving, a city of opportunity, and a range of experiences: cultural food, experiences from around the world, family fun and adventure, outdoor and nature-based experiences, and outdoor sports and adventure. We've developed 3 high-level key messages. The first one is themed around our multiculturalism and our community. Key message 2 is themed around opportunity, and key message 3 is themed around innovation and our local economy. In our communication activities, we'll include proactive media, so we'll generate consistent, positive, not just local media coverage, but national and state media coverage. Our campaigns will include a really strong media component. That's to ensure that we can really maximise our audience reach and get the cut through that we really need to lift our reputation. We'll maintain and build trusted relationships with key media, and we're expanding the media outlets that we work with. Like, for example, at the moment, we're working on an exclusive story with Landline. We've recently also done stories with The Project. So just really expanding the outlets that we work with. We'll develop and deliver great campaigns which will have a strong community focus, and we'll ensure all our campaigns and our communication plans are integrated so that we're amplifying our messaging. And what I mean by integrated is that they won't just be marketing or advertising campaigns, they'll be fully integrated to include earned, owned and paid channels. And our key messaging for our campaigns and communications plans will also ensure that we have consistency of messaging across all our channels. In social media, we'll grow our audience base with entertaining, informative and engaging content, and you will already have been seeing some of this. Our recent post on pups in the city and our Paw and Order post to promote our animal management centre has performed very well on our social channels and is helping us build our audience. We'll also include engaging social media component in all of our integrated campaigns, and we'll explore emerging trends and platforms to reach a younger demographic. In internal comms, we'll share our city reputation strategy with key internal teams to build support and excitement. We'll increase our positive storytelling across our internal channels as well as our external ones. We'll have Viva Engage posts to share regular fun facts about Logan, and we'll also have key messages available on the buzz for our staff to use. We're also making the look and feel of our communications more consistent. You may have seen that we launched our new website recently, which is clearer and easier to use while also maintaining accessibility. We're taking some beautiful new imagery of our city to capture iconic images of green spaces, characters and local points of interest. And any advertising that we do will include low-cost digital advertising as well as a local print spend. So we're not talking about any major expensive city image advertising. We're talking about campaigns that we'll create at low cost and deliver in-house. In community engagement, we'll update our community engagement strategy to ensure that council continues to be a transparent and inclusive local government. We'll provide engagement support to Transform Logan to help guide our long-term planning, and also support for the Legacy Forum and ongoing engagement to ensure we maximise games opportunities for Logan. And finally, just to touch on our reporting and metrics, building reputation takes time. It's a long game, and we will have the opportunity to track our reputation by doing follow-up surveys. And we'll also be reporting on all our usual metrics for our campaigns and communication plans, including the number of proactive media stories and audience reach, our engagement and sentiment on social media, and monitoring the number of visitors to our websites. So, thank you.
Questions? Councillor Stem.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for answering my questions the other day. Look, I appreciate it. I know the fact that you're only quite new, and that the last campaign that sort of stands out to me was the May 2023 one where Culture Runs Deep, and we did the video, which I thought was quite good. And I guess what I'm trying to understand is that was quite a large campaign, and I'd like to understand is, obviously there would have been a set of KPIs as part of that. So how were they measured? Like, did that actually make an impact on reputation? And have we got any stats or any information that supports that?
Yeah, you're referring to our Proud City image campaign, which ran from, I think it was November 21 to March 22. And I guess what's different about that campaign to this is that was one campaign, and it was very much a marketing campaign which focused on advertising, and I understand that it did have good results and at the time. What's different about this strategy is this is the first time we've had an overarching city reputation strategy. So it's not just one campaign, it's our strategic approach for how we're going to lift city reputation. And it won't just be about one city image campaign. It won't be an expensive advertising campaign. It will be something that will take consistent effort over time, and we to get the results that we need to shift our reputation, we really need to have our people, our mayor, our councillors, our community on board. So we're hoping this will deliver great results, but it is a long game building reputation.
Okay. Look, I just for my own interest, did a bit of research on city branding campaigns, both nationally and internationally, just for my own interest. And it sort of indicated that the consensus was that it's actions, not words, that generally change reputation. So what I'm trying to understand, are you going to be working with other branches within council to try, I mean, the main issues they're identifying, you know, a lot of them aren't even council issues. Like, you know, a lot of the, I know it's one of the questions that was asked, which you sent through, which I appreciated, was which of the following issues should be addressed at as a single top priority? And there are things like adult crime, youth crime, mental health, family and parenting problems, domestic violence, housing, unemployment, schools, hospital and health services, public transport. They're not even, most of them aren't even council matters. We don't control those. You know, there are other levels of government and so forth. So I guess what I'm trying to understand is there needs to be actions in place to change reputation, in my opinion. So, yeah, what are we going to do in that space to make it broader than just a campaign?
Through the chair, yes, you're absolutely correct. And there are a number of branches across council, you know, that are responsible for, you know, liaising with QPS and other levels of government about various issues, including crime, housing, homelessness, etc. And we do work closely with all the other council branches. But you're right, yes, you can't solve issues like that through a comms engagement and media campaign. However, what we can do through this strategy is that we can shine the light on all the positive things about Logan, so that we can balance up that. So we're not just seeing, you know, negative stories in the media about crime, that we're already doing this. You may have recently seen the great story that we just had on 9 News on Friday night about the Lasso Country Music Festival, the fabulous national story we had on our koala drone surveying that achieved national coverage across every ABC TV throughout Australia, including online and radio. I think the audience reach was around 450,000 people. So it's, yes, there are those issues there that aren't easy to solve, and council branches will continue working with those important stakeholders to address that. And at the same time, yes, we want to shine the light on all the positives about Logan. Yes.
Pardon me, through the chair, I just supplement that Transform Logan and that body of work is really helping us as an organisation set the long-term strategic direction. So this strategy will underpin the themes and some of the actions that are coming out of Transform Logan. So if the work results in certain projects, then we'll be promoting those projects, those relationships, and using that as a vehicle to show how our reputation or some of our actions are hoping to change reputation over the long term as well. So this isn't being done in isolation. We are using clear organisational actions, and we're just shining the light and then promoting, you know, what they would be, or in some instances creating magic where there isn't anything, such as the Poor and Order campaign, etc., and having some fun in that manner.
All right, thank you.
Councillor Bradley, did you have a hand up? Yeah, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, through the chair. I really appreciate your report, and nice to meet you in person. I suppose I've been here a while, and I've seen the repetitive themes that you have written here come up each time. And like Councillor Stemp, I do recall the last campaign, and basically there was no improvement in the reputation. But that has happened the whole time. And I probably agree with you to promote the positive always, but can I just ask, please, that you focus on the whole city, not just certain pockets of the city. We're getting social media, social influencers coming out into the area I represent and promoting that area in a very, very positive way. We're also getting tour groups coming into Division 1, they're possibly going into other areas of the city as well. So, you know, I suppose those sort of stories, if they could be relayed as well, not just the, you know, the normal everyday ones that have, you know, that we've had all the time. Thank you.
Through the chair, yes, thank you for that feedback, Councillor, and we will definitely be focusing on all areas of the city, and it's not just positive council stories that we're sharing, but positive stories about Logan and the community and the people. And we do have our first campaign is currently still in development, and I look forward to sharing more about that with you when it's ready. But it's a very exciting campaign with a strong community focus, and will shine the spotlight on the great people of Logan. And we'll really be relying too on you councillors to help us really get the value out of that campaign, because you know your communities best, and we'll really be relying on your voices to help us share our messaging and amplifying our messaging in the community. Thank you.
Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you very much. Through the chair, just touching on something that Councillor Bradley just said, I think on my Instagram feed on the weekend, Brisbane Boy Eats, Jackson Bennett, I'm pretty sure he was just mentioning a couple of places in Logan that I'd never even heard of. The food looks bloody amazing, might I say, and that sort of thing. And I was like, oh, who's this guy, you know, sort of thing. And I was like delving into him and stuff like that. And there was actually another one as well, but I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, that was promoting other food venues. And I'm like, I've never even heard of these places coming through and stuff like that. I think it might almost be worthwhile tapping some of these influencers to sort of, you know, get the Logan out there and that sort of thing. Because the comments on there, like when he said, this is in Logan, people were like, what? This is in Logan? Like some of the comments and stuff. And I was like, okay, so people are actually sort of starting to adjust and that sort of thing. But how are these messages going to differ from our previous messaging? Like, what's different about this one compared to the previous messaging that we've done?
Through the chair, thanks, Councillor, for that feedback on the influences of and the food offerings. That's a fantastic idea. What makes, I guess, our key messages for this strategy are quite different to the messaging from the previous city image campaign, the Proud City campaign, where there weren't key messages as such. They were more slogans around, you know, our diversity is in our DNA, our culture runs deep. So this is the first time we've had this overarching reputation strategy with key messages, and they're just our high-level key messages. We will also have a host of supporting facts that support those key messages, and that will include you know, information, like messaging around our fantastic food offerings.
So will we be able to track this through KPIs so that we can see the progress and see what's happening with it?
Through the chair, yes, we will be reporting our usual metrics like media reach, the social media sentiment and engagement, website visitations, advertising reach. But we also do have the opportunity to do follow-up surveys on reputation and how that's tracking. But as I mentioned, building reputation it does take time over many years. There's a saying that says you earn your reputation in gold coins, but you lose it in $100 bills. So it takes a long time to build up a positive reputation, and equally your reputation can be damaged very quickly.
Are you going to work well with the Explore Logan brand? Because I know that they have some really good stuff on their social media, but it doesn't correspond over to the LCC social media. And I keep saying we've got so many different channels, but not everything comes through one. And for me, I just like going to one. I don't like searching across 7 different platforms or 7 different social media links to try and find it. Crank is another one, because I've had a lot of people in my community, just because it's school holidays, going, hey, what can my kids do, and stuff like that. But if we can have it all, like have all the separate channels, that's great, but also bounce it back to the LCC one and actually get more people just following the one channel, so that we can actually push it all out there, I think would be great. It's probably not really something to answer and that sort of thing. But I like the thought of consistency, to include it from all the branches. Do you know, this is, I've just been asked this recently, do we have connections, or do we pay a subscription to Brisbane Convention Centre, so that apparently with the Brisbane Convention Centre, if you're a member, and people or companies, corporations, whatever, they're actually inquiring through the Brisbane Convention Centre to actually host an event. They might not be able to host it there, but then they actually filter it out to other LGAs and to other venues themselves. Are we a member of them? Because I think you also get some advertising benefits and stuff like that when you're in there, to try and attract those corporate events and events into Logan as well.
Through the chair, that's great feedback, thank you. I don't know the answer to that, so I'll have to take that as a question on notice, but I can get back to you on that, thank you.
Sorry, and just one more, sorry. I have been asking for years to do this, and it's not going anywhere. If you could please follow up. I would love an entrance sign on the Greenbank Arterial and an exit sign, one on each side, so you're coming into Logan, you're leaving Logan, you know, that sort of thing. It's one of the main entrances on the arterial, coming from Ipswich into Logan. I've wanted a sign there for ages. I'm happy to lip fund a sign, but it keeps going nowhere, and I've been asking for this since last term. So if we can please follow up, I'd be happy to lip fund one. And I'm not talking a massive sign, I'm talking a small sign, because Ipswich has plenty when I drive around, and they literally have it when I'm driving in and out of the arterial into theirs, and it really annoys me not coming into Logan.
The team will be able to respond to you quite quickly on that. Councillor Wilcox, I took an action during budget or pre that from yourself and Councillor Stemp. All the research had been done. I was trying not to pollute conversations, bringing it back during budget period, because we are transferring some of the asset management responsibility through to roads, but that work in costings has been done and can be given to you in short term.
Councillor Bradley, did you want to jump in on that?
Yes, certainly. Thank you. I hope you don't mind. It's probably more general business, but it is related to reputation.
A response to...
It is.
Okay.
Those signs were definitely funded by LIP, the equivalent of LIP once upon a time, and I know there definitely was a sign on the intersection of Rochdale and Freestyle Road, welcome to the City of Logan, and that's been removed and not replaced.
Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Chair. So firstly, I've got a question, and then followed up with just a thought. So firstly, what do we like whenever I hear like this won't cost anything, I always wonder what are we not getting anymore if this is a freebie?
Through the chair, what we're saying is that all of our campaigns will be delivered within our current budget, so we're not seeking additional funding to deliver this. So our emphasis will be on low-cost integrated campaigns that we can deliver and design in-house. There will still be an advertising component, but the focus will be more on low-cost digital advertising, and also a local print and online media spend. But we'll really be focusing on earned media coverage because that allows us to really maximise our audience reach beyond Logan to nationally without having to invest in big advertising dollars, and also just maximising the communications on our own council channels as well, through our own social media, our website, and also working more closely with councillors too to help share our messaging on your own social media channels too.
Thank you. So following on, and this is actually connected to something that you said right at the end there, compared to last term, I'm finding that councillors are actually missing from the marketing for the city. I don't find that it's financially viable when each councillor is separately taking a staff member with them to everything they go to just to get a pic. You know, I think there used to often be people from your team who would just be there taking photos of councillors at events, and I guess I'd really like to be a part of this team with you, not just a resource to be able to share content. I see a lot of the mayor in the media, which I think's appropriate, and I think it's very well done. However, yeah, the council is a very functional team, which I consider is a strength that we should be leaning into.
Through the chair, thank you for that. That's great feedback, and we would love to work more closely on that. And we can definitely have a look at how we can improve that and our ways of working with the councillors. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mayor Raven.
Thank you, Chair, through you. Thanks for bringing this forward, Michelle. It's great to see like that sort of overarching strategy approach to reputation. Since seeing this report come up, every single resident I've interacted with, I've asked them, what do you think about reputation? Could it be better? Has it changed for you? It's a big issue during the election campaign. If I wanted people to agree with me, I'd just say we needed to improve our reputation. Everyone leaned in and said, yes, that's exactly what we want. But that's a no-brainer. Every councillor in this room knows that from their own experience talking to their residents. What's interesting is I spoke to people on Saturday night who had gone to Lasso, and they loved that we had live music in Logan, that there were people from all over the place. They also loved seeing it on TV. They specifically said they'd seen it. That was Jane. She's a resident from Division 10 who's lived there since like 1980 or something like that. Absolutely loves Logan, doesn't love the way people talk about it. And that was her language. But then interesting, but she said she didn't think reputation had changed much, to Councillor Bradley's point. What was really interesting, though, was Tim's resident yesterday, Councillor Fraser's resident, who said when she first moved here 11 years ago, her friends just cast so much shade on her. They were like, I can't believe you'd moved there. It's so dangerous. She's like, but it's not like that anymore. They didn't even want to come visit her in Baronia Heights, which we know is not it's quite a nice part of the city, if you like, that doesn't have the same reputation issues that other parts of the city have. So that was fascinating for me to see that she had thought it had improved, especially for the western edge of the city, which is a part of the city that I'm sure Councillor Wilcox knows, sometimes doesn't feel like it's part of the whole. So the big one, though, that I wanted to lean in on, and Councillor Wilcox touched on it, was TikTok influencers. Some of those influencers you're seeing are paid by Low Ed to do their sponsored reviews of our restaurants. So it's working. So when you say, what are the actions, Councillor Stemp, those are some of the actions that are coming. So they use some of their budget, and influencers are crazy cheap for the amount of exposure we get. On Saturday night at Lasso, we had Sienna, who's got 320,000 something followers on TikTok, talking up Logan. That was really cool, and she's coming to Flame, I understand. So using that channel as well gives you access to young people with essentially a global reach because it's TikTok, which is really, really powerful. Ironic, though, because council won't support or let us use TikTok. So we might need to find a funky way to blend those in. But I think it's great to see you've got a consistent message. What I would love to see, and we spoke about this, was having the message of the week and the month distributed to councillors. Councillors, remember, I wanted this last term, and I'm still banging on the table about it. I could send you my message of the week, but I don't think that's necessarily what you want. You want to know what the organisation is talking about, so that when your residents come to you and go, hey, what's this thing that you're doing? You actually know what it is. Great example is the changing of the website. Hands up if you knew the website was changing. Knowing that sort of stuff makes our lives a lot easier when people ask what's going on. So being able to include councillors in that corporate messaging so that we can be partners and we can draw close and go, hey, I really care about this, come and get a photo with me in my electorate or whatever it might be. That would be amazing too, but I think it's great to have a good strategy rolling out like this.
Any more questions? Yes, Councillor Hall.
Okay, so within the strategic plan, it says the goal is to increase trust and uplift the reputation of the City of Logan. Are we speaking the City of Logan is in Logan City Council, or are we speaking the City of Logan is in Logan, the city itself?
Through the chair, we're talking about council and also our city. So we know from our research that the reputation of a local council has a big impact on the overall reputation of a city. So we are focusing on both, increasing awareness about all the positive services that council provides, but also sharing all the positive stories about Logan as a city, what makes Logan unique, and also the fantastic people that we have in our community. So it is both.
So, like, apart from doing that, what is the core goal? Are we wanting to attract people to the city, or are we wanting to just make the people in the city feel good about where they live?
Through the chair, I think it's a bit of both. We want our community to feel proud that they live in Logan, and we also want to attract people from outside Logan to come and live in Logan, to invest here, set up their businesses here. So it's both.
I've noticed in the research it said that most of the least positive things were coming from people 25 years and under. Most positive were people 50 years and over. It doesn't really say much in between. The most positive non-residents were aged 25 to 49, but what about the residents that are 25 to 49? What does it say about them?
Through the chair, I'd need to look back at the research to get some more detail on those breakdowns. But what I can say is that for residents, it was the younger demographic that had the least positive perceptions of our city, and it was the older demographic of Logan residents that were most positive. Then outside our city, it was that demographic of the family demographic, and likely that's driven by, the affordable place to buy a home and a great place to raise a family feeling from that demographic.
Because I also note on here, it says the least positive things that people like were things like crime, but when you think about people 25 years and under, they will often head to places where there usually is a bit more crime, simply because there's more fun things to do. People love to live in places like the Valley and on the Gold Coast where crime is absolutely rampant, but it is the fun place to be because there's a lot more activities, there's a lot more things for young people to do. I don't think you'll win people 25 years and under by simply fixing the reputation about crime in Logan. I think it's that they need really interesting, fun things to do on a regular occurrence. They need to see Logan as a destination to go to do things that you can't do anywhere else, or at least be competitive with other places that are doing things better for young people. My concern in this is you can have a campaign where it has a lot of nice things to say, but if what is on the ground is already the same, then people set an expectation, they go there, and it's still just Logan. There's nothing is different. You need to actually have different things on the ground already there, so that when people do come here and they say, "Oh wow, I'm very surprised," it's exactly as they say. This is mind blowing for me. In my personal opinion, I don't believe a campaign that's still working within the current budget is going to do much more than what the previous campaign has done. I believe you actually have to make massive changes in what you already have within Logan to make it a destination for young people, for something that young people like. It sounds like the people over 25 are kind of somewhat happy. I'm not sure what the people between 25 and 49 are thinking, because this report doesn't really tell me that much about there.
Aren't you one of those people?
Well, I'll answer the mayor's question. I am one of those people, and I'm happy to kind of go home and go to work and do what I need to do at work. And as long as my house isn't broken into, I'm quite happy. As long as I still got a car, as long as I'm not running over a pothole, all those things that everyday people are facing. As long as I'm not impacted by those things, then I'm quite happy. If I want to go somewhere, if I want to see a theatre show, I will go into Brisbane. I'll go to QPAC. If there's something happening in Logan, I'll certainly go and do it. But for me personally, there's not enough happening entertainment-wise within the city for me to say this is my destination for entertainment at the moment. I would love to be able to say it is, but at the moment it's just not. I've loved some of the things which has happened in the event centre. I would love to see more stuff happening at KBF where, people are gathering there and it becomes a place where people go. I just don't feel that throwing money on an advertising campaign is going to change much, simply because what we have on the ground isn't going to help. We may shift people's opinion, but when they come here, things are still exactly the same, if that is exactly what it is. People aren't foolhardy. So that is my opinion, is that we need to actually change what we have in the city on the ground if we want to change people's behaviour in terms of council as a destination to go to. That's my feedback on it.
Thanks, Councillor Hall. Did you want to respond?
Through the chair, thank you for that feedback, Councillor. And it is my understanding that our events and venues branch are very focused on bringing new events and entertainment to the City of Logan, and we'll work hard to promote any new events or activities that we do get. But we're also very focused on promoting all the fantastic events that we already have, like the Lasso, the Country Music Festival, for example. So there is already a lot of great things happening that we can promote. But yes, as we do bring new things to the City of Logan, we'll work hard to promote those as well. And Explore Logan also has their destination plan as well. So we'll work closely with that team too.
Thanks, Michelle. Any more questions? Being none, we will table the report. Someone to move the tabling of that presentation. Mayor Raven, thank you. All those in favour? It's carried. Thank you. Do you have a hand, Councillor Wilcox? Thank you. Got it. And there will be a motion on the screen. Mayor Raven is moving that. Someone to second that. Councillor Stamp. All those in favour? That is carried. Councillor Hall, how do you vote?
I'm against.
Thank you. Does anyone have any general business for the Corporate Communications Manager? Do you have any for us? No? Anyone general business for Director of People Management, People and Engagement? Do you have any for us?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. All right, moving to 7.1, appointment of City Governance Committee Chairperson. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Chair. On 25th of June of this year, Councillor Murphy resigned as Chairperson of the City Governance Committee, and that was effective immediately. Under Section 267 of the Local Government Regulation, Council may appoint a Chairperson to the City Governance Committee. And now, as the position of Chairperson is vacant, arrangements now need to be made to appoint a replacement to satisfy Section 3.2D of the Local Government and Meeting Code, which requires Council to appoint a chairperson of each of its committees. On the 2nd of July 2025, the CEO called for nominations for the position of chairperson and for the position of deputy chairperson in the event that the current deputy chairperson is appointed as the chairperson of the City Governance Committee. Councillor Jackson is the only nominee for the position of chairperson of the City Governance Committee, and therefore this matter has been brought to committee today. Should the position of deputy chairperson become vacant as a result of the appointment of the new chairperson, nominations will then be called for a replacement so they can be appointed.
Thank you. Mayor Raven.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Councillor Murphy for her amazing service as chairperson of City Governance. It is not an easy committee to chair because you've just found out, Mr. Acting Chair. It's full of really exciting. You actually had more exciting reports today than usual. You had advocacy come and speak to you. You had corporate comms speaking to you. But generally, it's finance, it's governance, it's policy. It's a lot of things that are pretty dry and often things where there isn't necessarily a legal precedent for the decision that councillors make. They have to make it based on their values and what they think is important for the city, which means it's challenging to get agreement sometimes. And Councillor Murphy has done an exceptional job of leading this committee from that time. And I know that you still have an unyielding passion for the Special Budget Committee, which I appreciate. And it's fantastic to see that you do want to step aside to give your deputy a chance to experience the helter-skelter fun that is corporate governance. When I was first a councillor, I didn't appreciate how important it was and how critical it was. And you've done just an absolutely exceptional job of keeping people focused, on keeping it about community, not just about facts, figures and legislation, and about making sure we're all making decisions in the best of the city. So thank you very much for your hard work. It's greatly appreciated.
Yes, Councillor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and to my fellow councillors for your support over the last months in the role. It has always been my idea to get us through the second budget and then hand over to somebody else. I think that we need to show leadership and also give opportunities to other councillors within the cohort to step up as well. I'm more than happy to support Councillor Jackson at any time if he needs that help, and I'm really excited to continue to be the special budget chair as well, leading into the last years in this term. So thank you for your support. Thank you to the team, Robert, and everybody that had supported me over that time, and I look forward to supporting Councillor Jackson in the future.
Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Hall.
I'd also like to thank Councillor Murphy for her hard work all this time during the budget, and I need to apologise for all the rabbit warrens I've sent us down each time we've had budget deliberations. I think you've done an outstanding job, and I'm going to honestly say I think the city governance chair position is probably one of the most difficult chair positions you can have in the entirety of this council and certainly any other council. So I think you've done well with one of the hardest jobs that you can have here as a councillor. Councillor Jackson, you've got huge boots to fill, but I believe you're a man of character that can actually pull this across and do well as well. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right. We do want to give opportunity for other nominations for chair. Anyone else want to add their name to the list? Nominations or deputy? Do we do deputy now? Yep, so it'll be the same. Any deputies come and, yes?
I'm happy to put my name up as deputy for you to sit by your side.
Thank you. Any other nominations for deputy? All right, we shall add Councillor Wilcox to the motion. Motion will appear on the screen when you've had a read. someone to move it? Thank you. Councillor Bradley. And someone to second it? Councillor Stemp. All those in favour? That is carried. Thank you. And thank you, Karen. Appreciate all that you've done to support and encourage me as a deputy. And thank you all for the opportunity to serve as Chair of Governance. I appreciate that. Does anyone have general business for the Corporate Governance Manager? There being none, do you have any for us? All right. Is that the end? All right, conclude the meeting. Oh, does any councils have general business? Councillor Bannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just want to see if you can Councillor Jackson?
So, are you leaving, Councillor Bradley?
Sorry, through the Chair, it's pretty disrespectful that I've got general business and Councillor Bradley chose to leave the room.
Can you stay for the... Okay.
Is that inappropriate meeting conduct?
I'll ask the point of order so I can go through the process. It's probably, so the chair asked the councillor to stay. Is that a direction of the chair?
No, I think in terms of the meeting code, Councillor Bradley probably should have caught the attention of the chair and indicated that she intended to leave the meeting. But I don't believe that we can stop a councillor leaving the meeting if they wish to leave.
Is there still a point of order?
There is. Under the Code of Conduct, we have an obligation to attend meetings. And without a reason being given or a leave of absence being sought, then surely you should be in the meeting. So my point of order is I believe Councillor Bradley's conduct is unsuitable because she's left the meeting.
There's a requirement to attend a certain number of meetings that relates to ordinary council meetings, not committee meetings. Councillor Bradley was here for the majority of today's meeting, but she has chosen to left the meeting before the matter became apparent in relation to what was being discussed. So, as I said, she probably should have caught the attention of the chair and indicated that she was leaving for the purpose of keeping the minutes, but she didn't. But at the end of the day, I don't think we can stop her leaving, or her leaving is necessarily a councillor conduct issue.
So I'll rule against the point of order and carry on, Councillor Bannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There's some questions that I'll hold over. So because Councillor Bradley left the room, and the questions are some of the questions are aimed at Councillor Bradley, Mr. Strachan, are you happy for me to bring some of those questions over to the next committee? And I'm happy to wait till Councillor Bradley is around. I could do the next committee, I can do it in council, I can wait 6 months. These are questions that I need answered to make a decision, which is part of my obligation as a councillor, which I'll explain in a minute. So Councillor Bradley was aware of these questions, that's a fact. So I emailed her to the public that these questions were going to be asked. She chose to leave when she knew what I was going to ask. So, and I'm happy to ask some of these questions. I had some next committee anyway because of a different director. So is there an issue with me asking these questions when Councillor Bradley decides to be present?
No, my reading of the meeting code is that under the general business provisions, there's no issue with you wanting to discuss a matter under general business. There are a number of exclusions under the GB. This I believe wouldn't fall under those exclusions, so you're able to get the matter discussed during a general business at any local government meeting.
So over to you, whether you want to do it now, you're welcome to, or if you want to wait till a meeting where she's present.
Sorry, through the chair, I'd like to put on record that I do have questions for Councillor Bradley in the next committee, so she knows that. And I don't want to pressure chairs. So the fact that she should answer these questions, that's part of her obligation as a councillor. That's what we've all sworn a code of conduct to. So I'd like to put that on record, public record, that I have questions for her next committee. And like I said, if she doesn't want to come next committee, I'm happy to wait till council when I'm chairing the meeting. I went through the city solicitor on where I should ask these questions. The reason, and to explain myself, we are obligated as councillors, as we all know. So if we feel there's a breach of our code of conduct, it's a legislative requirement for us to put that through to the Office of the Independent Assessor. I wanted to talk to Councillor Bradley today about the social media post that she put up straight after the budget. The things that the OI do, obviously, if a councillor lies, misleads the public, damages the reputation of council or councillors, they are breaches and they've brought council into disrepute in the public forum. I've spoken previously to this councillor when there was a private issue through emails, and I did that in the privacy of the councillors at the Mayor's breakfast. This I've done publicly because it was a public comment which affected all of council, especially the special budget committee and Councillor Murphy, who put so much hard work into the budget, and your department, Mr. Strachan. I'm doing it publicly as well because Councillor Bradley's very adamant about being transparent, and she turned off the comments. I know for a fact that Councillor Heremiah did request that his name be taken off that social media post and it was refused. Couldn't comment, and neither could the Mayor because the comments were turned off. So in my opinion, and these are questions I'd like to ask, I feel that's gagging. And for a councillor who once famously put duct tape over her mouth with the former Mayor, I think it's a bit contradictory to do it. So these are the reasons I go through the chair, as we all know, and I never say this, and you'll probably give me cheek later because I always stir you up and you say it, for the viewers at home, because I reckon there'll be more today. The reason we go through the chair, especially myself, is it takes the conflict out of it, it takes the personality out of it, it takes the accusations of targeting or bullying which be thrown around. We go through the chair to take away and depersonalise the questions that we're asking, which is the reason I wanted to do it. When myself wasn't chairing, I was quite happy to do it, but if it's going through a council, especially Councillor Paul Jackson, it takes the emotion out of it. I'm simply asking questions for him to relay, can't be accused of bullying, which is the reason I was advised to do it through this meeting. The things I could actually ask you, Mr. Director Strachan, if you'll indulge me, Mr. Chair. So if you read the comment, despite potential disapproval from colleagues today, Councillor Heremiah and I voted against the budget for the second consecutive year with a near record percentage increase. This reminds me of the Luke Smith era when Darren Power and I voted against the budget. I went through the records, and could you correct me if I'm wrong, I can't find anywhere where Councillor Bradley and Councillor Power voted against the budget together. I had Councillor Bradley voting no in 18 and 17 Councillor Power abstaining.
I'd have to go back and have a second look, but what I have seen this morning would be supported by those comments, but I'd have to go and have another look.
Thank you. One of the questions I'd like to... So my strong point isn't the budget. I've never delved into it. I'm good at other things I'm not that good at, which is why we have Councillor Murphy and her team. Councillor Murphy, when I've got an issue with the budget, I usually give you a buzz, or I give Roberto a buzz, or Mr. Strachan, and I ask them questions about it to explain it in Scotty's terms. Did you get any conversation between yourself as a chair with Councillor Bradley on her comment that conservation land cannot be subdivided, will be included in a new category of vacant land, and incur increased rates, a slap in the face for a green city?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Through the chair, Councillor Bannon, Councillor Bradley was in the meeting, I believe, when we did talk about the new categories for the vacant land. I don't believe that she gave us any alternatives or spoke to the matter, and she has not spoken to me privately. And I'm not aware of her speaking to Robert or the team through the budget process with regards to that until the day of the actual adoption of the budget. Would that be correct, Robert?
That would be correct. I was aware of some discussion during the special budget committee meetings when it was raised as part of rates reform, but there was no indication closer to the special council meeting to adopt the budget. I had no awareness that question was coming on the day.
And just to add to that, when we're doing the special budget committee, we're all here in the room as a cohort to work for the city and to vote on matters. Sometimes those matters are unanimous, and every councillor has the right to vote against certain aspects of the budget. But in all legal matters, we have to have the budget approved for it to go through. And in this case, we had the required number for the budget to be approved at the end of the day. So every councillor has the right to vote against or abstain against whatever part of the budget they don't
particularly like for their committee or they're for their community, and they have the right to say whatever they like. And Councillor Bradley has that right, and she did so on the day of the budget deliberation. But as far as her contacting me with regards to the vacant land categories, no, she did not.
Thank you. Carry on.
Thank you, through the chair. The way I work is if I don't like something in the budget, I fight to change it. The next question I have, which I was going to ask Councillor Bradley, but she departed. She had an issue. She said that I flew business class overseas, and to her credit, she did apologise to me in the staircase. I want to acknowledge the fact she apologised to me. I didn't fly business class to New Zealand. In fact, I went to New Zealand twice, and the first time I paid for myself and a staff member and covered every single cost. Because when I go away, I believe in the thing that I'm going away for, and if I didn't think it benefited the city, I wouldn't do it. And as a matter of fact, if someone had an issue for it, I'd pay for everything myself anyway, which is why I pretty much have zero expenses against my name. The question I was going to ask, which I'm going to ask again, she had issues of the Mayor Raven flying business class. Like when we've all been to these, executives don't get off the plane and do what I do at a motorbike trip and relax in the hotel, have a couple of beers and then go get on the throttle. You get off the plane and you work the whole time. Every single executive in any business flies business class. The question I had was, I went through Councillor Bradley's expenses. She actually spent more than the Mayor did on a professional development team building course last year, and Ubers and coffee. So if you total those up, she spent more than $8,000. So I just wanted to ask her opinion on what's the issue with it. I want to understand and get an understanding of why she thinks what she's doing is more important than what the Mayor is doing, representing the city as the Mayor. I'll ask that when she comes back in, Mr. Chair. The other problem I have is the statement in previous terms, councils met with the CEO and or directors. Now the Mayor gives the feedback to councillors via the Mayor's breakfast and our weekly ratepayer catered council breakfast. We all know that's a $40 box of soggy muffins. I'll pay $50 to get me something to eat better than the $40 box. The statement's not true in any way, shape or form, and I don't have to ask because I know that every single councillor here can contact the CEO or directors at any time they want, via phone call, email, or just go knock on the door because we have access with a level 4 card. Is that correct, Mr. Director? The other thing I'd like to say too is I check Councillor Bradley has more meetings with the CEO than any other councillor in the building. So I think that statement needs to be retracted, and I'd like to hear her opinion on that. I've got two more to go, if I'm okay, Mr. Chair. A council's job is to represent the city. That's what we take an oath to do. And like Councillor Murphy said before, sometimes you don't agree with stuff in the budget, but you still go out and represent the city as a place to live. That's literally our job. It's in the title of what we're meant to do as a councillor. The statement that ratepayers remember this next election, in my opinion, you have the right to question if you can continue to afford to stay in the city of Logan or move up the road to Brisbane because it's becoming more attractive. I'd like to understand how someone that's paid by the ratepayer a massive amount of money can think that is the best way to represent the city. It's another question I'd like to ask. And just to wrap it up, because I have more questions in the next committee, we all cop grief on social media. Like there wouldn't be one of us doesn't cop a bit of that's part of the job, right? You love it, Councillor Jackson. You're probably the best I've seen at it. You love a bit of conflict because it gets you more traction. I fire up probably too much, which has been noted. But, you've got to have a thick skin for that. And if I can quickly tell a story, which I never understood. So back in 2016, when I lost a bet and ran for the state election, and then I ran against a man called Linus Power, who's a state member for Logan. And it's the first time I've ever done a pre-poll, which was torture for 3 weeks, to be honest. But I did, in that 3 weeks, I actually hit off with him, and then I become very close friends. The thing that he hit, that I've got a pretty big following, mate. I have, just because, I've been around for 50 years and all the rest of it. So I've got a lot of friends and followers on social media. Some of them were having a dig at him, not people I personally knew, but you could see it. Didn't take any much notice of it, but then he said to me one day, the hardest part for him was that his wife reads it. That his wife and kids read those comments and the effect that it have on his family. And that really hit me. So I actively went on my social media and said, never give Linus Power grief, it's unfair. And that's why anyone that's in a photo with me, I will protect them and defend them. Because it is a pretty horrible thing to say. So, questions like that, and also I had another one with people with, I had a lady, she ended up being really nice, but she said, I'm going to go out there and mow a footpath, I'm 70 years old, I'm going to take a photo of it and stick it on social media and have a go at your mowing team. So my response was, well, that's a set-up photo. I'll come and mow it for you for nothing anyway. The team are trying to get there, but it won't stop raining. And what about all the council workers that live in the area and see those comments on the page? Most in council, and Mr. Strachan, you'll know the percentage, they live in Logan, they read that, which is why I'm so adamant on defending staff, and which is what you guys do. Because when you bag roads or you bag the mowing, that's people that live here with their wives. The lazy council worker thing really does hurt. My question now, and I'm sorry if it's personal, mate, but Mayor Raven, a lot of these comments are aimed at you, and you've copped a lot of grief from Councillor Bradley since you become the mayor. I'm guessing the mayoress reads that, especially the comments about the City of Logan Charitable Trust, the things about you doing spins. Like, how you going, mate? Like, it's a personal question asking committees, if you give me that allowance, Mr. Chair. But you got to ask, I'm a mental health ambassador. I work for a men's suicide and prevention thing. I've done mental health of DV for the last 15 years, blokes hanging themselves. So yeah, it probably touches me a bit further. But I know Mr. Raven can handle it, and the reason he handles it is because normally he gets to comment back, and he's good at it. I sit back and have a chuckle at a Friday night with a beer at John Raven on Facebook, but he can't comment back, and these accusations are also at his family. So I just wanted to check on the mayor to see how he's travelling.
You're welcome to answer.
Thank you for the question, Councillor Bannon, and it's you're used to being criticised in public office, and normally, and many of us have had this conversation, that in committee we'll fight like cats and dogs, but outside of the room, even though we might disagree in here, we don't take it out on each other personally. Councillor Bradley didn't raise those issues in committee. She mentioned them once in a confidential meeting, and she mentioned them very vaguely in the council meeting, and that was her platform to make her case and for other councillors to be able to respond to that or agree with her, as the case may be. She may have even been able to change some people's minds on the budget. But instead of raising it where it's appropriate to do so, she went out and, as you said, on a post with no comments where I can't defend my reputation, and more importantly, where I can't defend the reputation of my family, that's pretty hard to swallow, especially when my kids are old enough, they do have social media, and when she's comparing me and all of you to Luke Smith era votes, that's pretty embarrassing for our city, and it hurts when my kids ask me to explain what that means.
Anything more, Councillor Bannon?
Thanks, mate. I know I dug deep there. Sorry to put you on the spot. There's also a number of other councillors, former councillors, who I'm personal friends with some of them, that their cases were thrown out of court. Their reputations were ruined, their careers were ruined. To bring this back up again hurts every single one of them. And I'm personal friends of people that have gone for a job, and when they have to answer that question, have you been charged before, can't get the job and break into tears. So these things stick around for a long time, which is why accountability is not fun. I don't like doing this. That's not because I'm the deputy mayor. It's just because I think someone has to say it. And don't get me wrong, if I didn't say it, I'm sure the other councillors would as well. But you've got to be held accountable, because in the famous words of Nathan St. Ledger, the behaviour we ignore is the behaviour that we accept. It's not the CEO's job to hold the councillors accountable. We can sack the CEO. We've seen how that goes. It is our job as councillors to hold each other accountable. And I get it wrong all the time. I don't know how many times I've had to say sorry in here. I've had Mayor Raven tune me up multiple times, but that's what we do. We talk on the phone, discuss things, give each other a hard time. But the community expects us to hold each other accountable. And when you say statements like this is the third time this has happened. So the first time Councillor Brady went on long service leave, which we don't get for 3 months. The second time was over Cyclone Alfred, which were false statements. Councillor St. Ledger pulled that up. She didn't come for, I think, over a month. This is the third time. If I get it wrong, I guarantee councillors here will hold me and rack me over the coals, and I'll cop it on the chin all day. And I will apologise for getting it wrong. If you make these statements, you need to be accountable to your community, because that's what you were paid to do. So the fact that she knew this was coming, it's on record for the next committee. Like, I'm asking the chairs, we need to hold her accountable. She's not to leave the building. She needs to answer these questions, because the lucky part for me is no one in my community follows Councillor Bradley. But the fact is, the newspaper printed this, which affected every councillor in here and the reputation of council. So she needs to be held accountable for what she said, or don't say it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mayor Raven.
I'm not going to add anything to that. I think Councillor Bannon said his piece quite well, and I respect your decision on the point of order. I just draw councillors' attention to three things in the Code of Conduct. There are three standards of behaviour we must all follow: responsibilities, respect and reputation. Under responsibilities, section 1.1, page 5, attend and participate meaningfully in all local government meetings, committee meetings, informal meetings, relevant meetings and training opportunities to assist them in fulfilling their roles other than where a prior leave of absence is given. Everyone can have a chuckle about that because I'm the one who says you don't need a leave of absence for committee. Apparently the Code of Conduct says you do, because that's what says, hey, please give me permission to go and do something else, and the committee says, yes, we accept your apology and give you permission. Under respectful, it says that you should treat fellow councillors, local government employees and members of the public with courtesy, honesty and fairness. I don't think that she did any of those three things when you asked her to stay, and she didn't. And finally, the final one is reputation. And we all struggle with this because at times we all disagree with the decisions in this room. But it's really important that it specifically outlines how you can disagree publicly with decisions of the room. And I don't feel that that was followed. That's not relevant for this committee because no decision was made in this committee, Mr. Chair. We just wanted to draw councillors, but also members of the public attention that we are held to a higher standard because of the trust that people put in us to lead the city. And that means that while there's some things that you might get away with in a regular workplace, we don't and we shouldn't get away with it in this place because we set the bar. And that hasn't always happened in Logan. In the past, the bar has not been set by council and we've paid the price for that. In future, I'll keep raising points of order if councillors try to tap out of uncomfortable conversations because they weren't elected to have easy conversations, and all of you worked bloody hard on the budget. You sat in the room, you did difficult stuff, you were worried about things, you asked really good questions, you pushed the staff harder than you've ever pushed them before. You deserve respect for that. And she could disagree with you all day, Councillor Bradley can disagree with you all day, and that's her right, but do it respectfully. You can, and we saw it actually yesterday. North Burnett Council, 25% rate increase. 25% rate increase. Their deputy mayor voted against the budget, spoke publicly about it in the most respectful way possible. Said, I just don't think people can afford it. I understand why we have to do it. I know the majority decision is the correct decision, but I couldn't support it for my community because I know too many people who that'll send to the wall. That is a completely respectful way of disagreeing with her colleagues. So did another councillor, did the same thing. Councillor Jeremiah did something. You didn't really vote against the budget. You voted for like 20 of the 22 motions, but you clarified why you weren't supporting the ones you didn't. So there's ways to do it respectfully. And I think we all know that. And the most experienced councillor in the room is Councillor Bradley. So she knows how to do it. She just chose not to.
Councillor Banham.
Sorry, through the chair. The only part that reminds me of that era, and I wasn't a part of it, is the behaviour that's been exhibited by Councillor Bradley. That's my closing remark, Mr. Chair.
Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you. Whilst I agree with points that you've both brought up today and that sort of thing, my question for Councillor Bannon is, to hold her accountable, have you submitted a formal complaint via the OIA so that we can actually handle it properly?
At the start of the conversation, Councillor, through the chair, I stated that we are obliged to do that. I haven't made my mind up, which is why I wanted to ask Councillor Bradley questions in this public forum to make my mind up if I will go down that road of making this an official complaint. I need, you know, regardless of what Councillor Bradley said, she deserves the right to respond to that. And maybe I'm getting it wrong because it wouldn't be the first time. But until I get the understanding of what she meant by those comments, which is what I said at the start, I'm asking these questions because we are obligated to report breaches of the Code of Conduct. I haven't done that, which is what I said, because I'm waiting for Councillor Bradley to respond to these questions.
Councillor Fraser.
Oh, sorry, I hadn't finished. Sorry.
Carry on.
Sorry, Councillor Fraser. Whilst I understand that, I'm not sure that doing it in a public forum for everyone to see, voice, hear their opinions, for all of us to have our chop, I think it's a conversation that needs to be held privately in the first instance, and I understand where you're sitting and I know you want to jump in, but for me I don't think it should be in a public forum in committee. Whilst I don't agree with the post, I certainly would not put a post up the way that Councillor Bradley has. We don't know why she's left today. She may have left because she was feeling ill. She has been quite unwell over the past few weeks and months and that sort of thing, on and off. She may have not felt well enough to sit in the rest of this meeting. For me, if it was me on the other side of the chair, I probably would have put in an OIA complaint and had it handled that way. Like the Mayor said, I have always said this, when we're in committee, we're in committee. When we walk out that door, we're different, or we're back to who we are. And that's what I feel we should be like. I think in here, it would probably get to a point where we would all be point of ordering backwards and forwards if it was to get to that point. I think it would get out of control. Just to clarify though, when you said second year, I didn't quite understand what you meant because you were referring back to previous budget. She has voted for the past 2 years in a row, so I wasn't quite understanding where you were trying to go with Darren Power in that. And on the upside, I didn't realise you'd actually paid for a second trip to New Zealand off your own bat for a staff member as well. I am going to New Zealand in September, October. I would be interested to sit down with you and find out where you went and who you saw and if there's anything else that I need to wrap into my trip. Thanks.
I also explained that at the start of the reasons why I did it in the public forum. Before, previously, it's been an internal thing between our emails, and I did that in the closed forum. But when Councillor Bradley publicly put the statement out and that went in the newspaper, so like I said at the start of this, that is why I did it in there. Councillor Wilcox can have an opinion, I agree with it. I don't agree with it, but that's her opinion. Everyone can have one. I stated clearly at the start that she did it in a public forum and bring our reputation under damage, so the public forum is where it needed to be. I've tried to do it in a closed forum, and I think every single councillor was here when I did it, and it did nothing because it happened again. I have no idea. The question I think you're asking about the budget was the comment that she voted no, her and Power voted no to the budget in the Luke Smith era, and the records that I've been given to me, they didn't. So it's just clarification on that, which from Mr. Strachan's going to come back to me. But, you know, you got your opinion, and that every councillor here is different. Like I think we're a really good cohort, but we're definitely different. I'd like to hold people accountable if they want to do it in public, because it was a public thing in the newspaper. If I go do that in private, no one hears anything. And that's the building doesn't get defended, myself doesn't get defended, the mayor doesn't get defended, and everyone's the support of that budget doesn't get defended.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser. Last one.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got a question for Mr. Strachan. Has the organisation reported Councillor Bradley to the OIA, and if they have, does that mean that Councillor Bannon doesn't need to do that now?
I think each councillor needs to make make their own determination in relation to whether they report or not. In relation to whether the organisation has, I might send advice out of session.
Thank you, councillors. Councillor Hall.
Sorry, I was going to let you speak. Through the chair, sorry, I was going to let you wrap up, but I'm just kind of triggered because, look, I've worked in many different industries. The one closest to my heart's the circus industry, and in that industry, you'd have a lot of feuds, and sometimes decisions are made you're not happy with, but you just, the show must go on. That's the word that we use. So whether or not you're happy with something that someone does, you have to kind of accept that the group has made a decision and you move on and you work with it. You don't continually start attacking it. I think what's happened is a lot more to do with ego. And, I do believe Councillor Bradley does have a bit of a personality that she needs validation for what she does, and she does like a bit of attention from her community, which is probably the reason as to why she's done some of this. The thing
Councillor
is,
Hall, can I just follow it up? We're sort of getting personal commentary now, and do you have anything to contribute?
Yes, I'm basically saying is I'm more worried about Tees Road than I am about Councillor Bradley at this point in time.
Point of order.
Understood. Point of order.
That's the relevance to it, but she breached the implication is that she could have breached the code of conduct. Yep. So it's got nothing to do with anything else apart that she could have breached her code of conduct as a councillor. Sorry.
Thank you. Upholding that irrelevance. Do you have a point that you want to make on the issue brought up, the matter brought up?
Yeah, I think her community voted it in. That's the personality they want. That's the one who they want to represent. I think it's exactly as Councillor Bannon said. If you feel that she's done something wrong, then hold it to account. But I don't really want to discuss more on that. I just think we should just do the process that we have to do, the legal process, and leave it at that. I don't really think there needs to be much more commentary about it. I think we just need to get back to the job. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the agenda for today. I declare the City Governance meeting of the 8th of July concluded at 11:59 and 30 seconds.